Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, you guys, this is the real side of freight. All right, we only have transportation professionals on our content. These are business owners. These are sales reps. These are people who are active in the day-to-day to give you guys the most applicable information that you can start utilizing in your business. It's one of the many reasons also where you guys notice why I fly this American flag behind me every single day. Not only are we the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. I got a very special guest for you guys today. I'm going to bring him up in a second. He is all things LTL to me. He's been on the show in the past, and we're going to break down some of the industry headlines on what's going on in the LTL market. But before we do any of that fun stuff today, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Brokers, carriers, shippers, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about what we have, you get paid to move this stuff. I don't know anybody else out there who is paying you to move their trailers for them. But if you're a small fleet right now and you have a trailer in the shop, you should never have to shut your operation down because of that. So with what they're working on right now, you guys, they have Glade Spring, Virginia, going to Delta, British Columbia. You get paid $18.50 US to do that. That's on top of the freight that you can get by loading out that trailer. They're also working West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta. You get paid $15.50 to do that. And then they also have San Diego going to Houston, Texas. They just increased the rate on this, you guys. They're at $1,200 to move this trailer right now. Again, that's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading it out. It's a great way to help pay for fuel, offset some of those rising maintenance costs and everything else. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacy Steen, they will be in the audience. Just hit them up and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Pat Green, let's fucking go. Good morning to you. Let's wrap up. We're not wrapping up 2022 just yet, man. We got like 14, 15 days left in this. Cam, what's up, brother? He just had VHub on his podcast. You guys, hit up Cam, what's the name of your podcast again, bro? Drop a link in there for people to hit it up as well. All right, you guys, I'm going to bring him up right now. The man, the myth, the legend, Rocket Shipping's CEO and founder, Mr. Gabe Pankin. What's up, brother?
How's it going, guys? Appreciate it again, Chris, as always. Ready to get at it today.
Dude, me too. I'm ready. Dude, there's just so much shit going on right now. How's everything in LTL? And I mean, because you also do full truckload as well, because you started Rocket Logistics as well. So what's going on for you right there, man?
Rocket Logistics is still just getting going. We've got everything set up. We're not moving freight just yet, but Rocket Shipping, the LTL side, I think in general, if you're reading the headlines, I feel, because we're 2 years into this, that we're not growing the way that I wanted to be growing, and we feel stagnant. We've been even for 3 months or 1% up. But then, it does help to take a step back and look at the market and look at other numbers. And it seems as though Old Dominion, Saia, and the others, and then some third-party numbers, are down between 10 and 20% in the last month of the quarter in November versus their projections. Still up in price, but down in volumes and tonnage. And so revenues didn't get hit as hard, but number of shipments being moved are certainly down. For Rocket, we're flat, which I hate. I hate being flat. So it feels like we're kind of moving backwards when we're flat, but good perspective on that. We didn't get the same Black Friday bump that we're accustomed to and the Black November. Like, we didn't move the same volumes in November as what I expected. Mm-hmm. But December's been stronger for us. We're pretty heavy e-com, and December's been coming through. I think people are still ordering through Black Friday, and they've been still kind of ordering up to Christmas here.
Okay. So like, do you think this has a lot to do with the fact that everything was so elevated earlier in the year that people they got everything where it needed to be earlier than normal because they had the product in their warehouses. They had everything there. There wasn't any need for that typical rush to get stuff out because it was already in stock due to the fact that inventory levels are up.
Yeah, I think that's an effect from last year, 2021. Like everything was delayed, and so people probably overcorrected on inventory. It'll be interesting to see the numbers at the new year for retailers and their inventory levels. I'll be watching for that. I expect they're stuck with inventory they didn't expect to be stuck with.
Yeah.
The other part of it too is just timing of Black Friday around the elections, around everything going on, inflation, diesel prices, like everything happened at once. And I think some of the consumers said, "Hey, I'm going to buy the things that I need to buy for gifts, but I'm not going to buy anything else."
Yeah.
So it's still record spending and on Shopify, but Shopify also acquired a bunch of other companies. So they had their best year. Black Friday as a whole was not the best year. And so in terms of growth year over year.
Okay. I got you. Ariel, what's up? Ariel Lozano, good morning. Thanks for joining us in. You guys hit up Cam's podcast. Get a load of this podcast.com. He said his episode with V-Hub is going to drop on Friday. Subscribe and share if you jump over there, man. Help my boy out. Matt Fink says LTL carriers are holding on to every last thread of, or they can as the
OR,
excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's hard to read it in the comments. So.
My brain works faster than my mouth.
Operating ratio, OR.
There we go. Operating ratio. Incredible barriers to entry limit competition, and that's why they can maintain pricing discipline, while broker and small truckload carriers cannot due to hyper competition. Very, very, very well said. Deborah Smith, good morning. Thanks for joining out here. Yeah, dude, we're rolling on from the media side here as well, dude. We're at the 176th morning show here. We're releasing the 237th podcast tomorrow.
Gosh, that's awesome. Those are huge numbers.
I know, it's nuts. But as you know, bro, that's just what happens when you continuously fucking show up every single day. I mean, how many days do you wake up and you're just like, I'm so fucking motivated to go do something today?
It seems to be like every Monday lately. It's just like the end of the year here. I'm just ready to go. So
yeah, I'm good for 1 day a week, right? One day a week, I'll wake up during the weekday and I'll be like, all right, I'm fucking ready. Let's go. And I don't need to stare at my shoes for about 15 minutes to be like, all right, motherfucker, you're going to the gym before, it's like, I think that, because again, with a lot of this stuff, and it is just discipline. It's just a discipline of showing up every single day. It's not paying attention, especially from a content creation perspective and even a sales perspective as well. When you're building stuff, don't focus on the negativity. All right. Don't focus on the no's. Don't focus on if something doesn't get as much engagement as another or whatever. It's just, if you're committed to the process, in time, you're never going to be beat, because most people quit when shit falls apart.
Yeah. And I think part of it too, to kind of piggyback on that, is if you're going to be content creation, for example, if you're looking at engagement or likes over time, or if you're looking at it each week and you're not disciplined and it's more motivation instead of discipline, you're gonna struggle, especially right now when numbers are probably down compared to what you're used to. But also, I think to pull the thread, if you don't have a content strategy, if you're not planning out a month or two ahead on what you want to do, and there's a reason you're putting out content, then you won't stay consistent either. So it's kind of twofold. Yeah,
dude. For me, it's funny because I know you pre-plan a lot of your stuff, right, for your content.
Well, at least my team does. I kind of just show up and talk, but yeah.
Well, what's funny is I have such bad ADD brain. I can't plan shit out because I'll have something come up and I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that. I got the video I released this morning. I literally thought about it driving to work. I had a whole other topic ready to go. And then I heard this thing on a podcast. I'm like, fuck, I got to talk about that. That's way more important. So it's for me, it's just about remaining consistent. I'm going to put stuff out there every single day. It's just with my cold outreaches to prospective shippers and everything else, is I'm holding myself disciplined no matter what. Even if I got told no 99 out of the last 99 calls, I'm still going to go out there, because again, I also have adopted such short-term memory of stuff where I'm just like, all right, fuck it, whatever, next call, next, no matter what. So yeah, man. All right, we just got to get caught up in some comments here. Cameron Lisk puts a crying, laughing emoji. I can't keep up. Maybe it was the staring at the shoes comment that came across.
Yeah, Deborah, it might be.
Consistency always wins. I like how you expressed that too. Listen, I'm not feeling it here, but here I am. Yeah, gotta be. It's pretty normal. Caroline Lyle, what's up? I appreciate that. I wouldn't say I'm a seasoned in the gray hairs is about all I have at this point in time. I'm still learning.
I think she's giving you your flowers there. She's saying she's a seasoned one. She's saying nice job.
Oh yeah, that you know what? See again, my brain work, my mouth.
I got you today, Jolly. I'm here for you, man.
My mouth works faster than my brain. We'll put it that way. Typical male, right? Louis, what's up, man? And Cam says, check out Living Your Best Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. Super good workbook. Cool, man. Yeah, I'll hit that up for sure. And he says, yes, that's what it was. All right, let's get into the first article. We're going to go straight into Gabe's wheelhouse here, you guys, which is LTL. And if you're an LTL heavy shipper and you're listening to this and you want a quality broker, reach out to Gabe. That's his bread and butter when it comes down to it. And yeah, so first article is from my friends over at the JOC. US LTL volumes drop, but pricing proves resilient. Freight volumes at large US LTL carriers are softening in the fourth quarter, and some trucking companies are responding with temporary layoffs or other cutbacks. But despite the downturn, revenue and pricing remain elevated compared with a year ago in pre-pandemic norms. Old Dominion on Tuesday said while the shipments per day declined, revenue per day increased by 7.3% each from November of 2021. The explanation for the shipment and revenue seesaw lies in a 17.3% increase in LTL revenue per hundredweight or yield, including fuel, in the first 2 months of the fourth quarter. Excluding fuel surcharges, the yield increased 8.6% year over year. And Old Dominion's revenue growth for the first 2 months of the fourth quarter reflects the ongoing improvement in our yield, which more than offsets the decrease in the volumes they had set. So, like, what are you seeing from that perspective, man? Are you seeing the same in your numbers, or what does that look like?
On the third party side, and even for the shippers we use their direct tariffs, like we're seeing decline in number of shipments and the same type of, Old Dominion's the standard. They went down 7% in shipments, but up 7% and they call it revenue, but it's just price. It's just what they're charging. Although I'm starting to see it fracture. Old Dominion, the way I always describe them is like, if you're seeing them miss target, that's bad for LTL freight numbers because they don't ever miss target because basically they can price to wherever they want to hit targets. And this kind of breaks that down. Even their CEO said, hey, we got better yield, even though we have lower volumes. Like that doesn't happen except for in this exact economy. I do think there's fractures from that. XPO and a bunch of regional carriers do not want to see this happen. So they don't, when they see volumes go lower, they're not just pricing for yield. And they're starting to cut back on the tariffs. They'll renegotiate tariffs with the large shippers. But there's one big distinction that I've seen this year versus other bid cycles is that they're starting to rebid freight and they'll give you the decreases and the accessorials will start coming down, but only for freight that they like still. And that I expected that to change, and they have not gotten desperate. Not one carrier out there seems desperate to me to get more revenue. They just want more of freight that fits their profile. And so a lot of it actually is, bidding like the right profile. So you don't bid certain freight to certain carriers. You used to just be able to go to the field when there was a recession like this. And now you still need to bring the right freight to the right carrier. I think the other thing to point out in that is 17% increase in LTL revenue per hundredweight. But if you take the fuel out, it's just 8%. And so the carriers are still enjoying heavy gains on the discrepancy of what they bought fuel at versus what they can charge at market price. So until that diesel price comes down, we're not going to have a whole lot of relief on LTL pricing.
Yeah.
Which is weird because truckload pricing immediately reacts. And I have a lot of clients who are watching, the sonar and those load boards and Convoy and everything saying, look at the price going down. It's below 2021. It's below 2020. And LTL is still above pre-pandemic levels and above where we'd expect to be. And I always explain it as this, like, the carriers right now have revenue and they don't want to decrease their margins and their yield on the revenue they already have. So the only way right now, there's two ways. You can get dynamic pricing from a carrier like ArcBest or XPO or others. So they're going to price off the market. That helps. But you have to go get another carrier. You have to have a tariff in hand. Either you move your freight to that carrier or you at least bring the tariff to your current rep and say, hey, match. But you're not going to just be able to go beat up your rep and say, give me a decrease because the market is tough. They want to hold on to that. They're only pricing aggressively for new revenue.
Yeah. It's dude, it's gonna be very, very interesting in the early part. Cause like, man, it's like I swear so many people just have such short-term memory where they're like, this strategy in 2023 is, like here is what my crystal ball prediction is going to be. Q1 volume is going to it's just a market grab. I think that's why a lot of these large companies have been laying off a lot of executives and management to free up revenue to protect their stock price, because they're going to go super fucking aggressive on RFPs. They're going to you're going to see margin percentages plummet in Q1 for some of the highly commoditized power lanes and stuff like that. Because like it's going to be a market share. I always refer to this as the Q1 All-Stars. All right. They're going to go in, they're going to price like that, and they're just going to do it for a certain amount of time. And then when the market shifts at later on next year, I can't predict if it's going to be after Q1 or Q2, the headlines will start reading tender rejections rise. Tender rejections rise, tender rejections rise. And that's going to be because everybody bids super fucking cheap. And the smart shippers that are out there already identified that. And they're probably running a quarterly or a 6-month RFP for the first half of the year because they know this. All right. Because most people who have been in this industry for longer than 6 months understand what market we are about to go in. So freight volume generally dips off in January for full truckload, right? So then with that happens, rates are going to decrease a little bit. But then as the earth starts to melt in the sense, not global warming, but like where Gabe lives.
Here we go, Johnny.
I know. Here we go. Tinfoil hat time. But where Gabe is in North Dakota and where I'm from in northern Wisconsin, it's frozen. All right. And then when snow starts to melt and everything else, freight generally starts to increase. And you're going to start to see that. So I personally think, depending on what happens with the recession that we're in, because no matter how anybody tries to spin it, we're in a fucking recession right now. My guess is it's either after Q2 or after Q3. That's what it's going to look like. That's when the market's going to start to rebound. That's when that balancing act between spot rates and contracted rates are going to reach that inflection point.
You know, it's kind of interesting too. And I love that you have that perspective on the truckload, and like the LTL, it's going to almost be the opposite. Like the price decreases are finally going to start to be felt in Q1, and the big time shippers are going to really in Q2 start to see their margins increase based on not the big shippers as far as the carriers, but the actual customers, our prospective clients, the ones who are shipping, 10 or 20 or 30 million of LTL spend a year. They're going to get the tariff secured towards the end of Q1 based off of the carriers finally saying, okay, we actually do need to fill these trucks again. We can't just cut any workforce anymore. We're not going to furlough drivers. We're going to actually go in there and get revenue on the books. And so the truckload market might flip back, and we'll see. It depends on how that goes. But if it flips back, it'll take another 3 or 4 or 5 months for the LTL to flip back. And I think it's important. This is stuff I deal with every week. Every client I talk to right now that ships with us is saying, why are our prices not reflecting truckload? And there's this huge gap. And Matt Fink talked about it. There's only 20 LTL carriers that are really important. There's really 10.
Yeah.
And so you can't just enter the market and take market share. And so they're going to hold on as long as they can.
And that's why truckload is so volatile compared to an LTL market, because of the amount of companies that are actually moving it. And that's why, because again, it's like essentially it's it's not technically by the definition of a monopoly LTL, but it is kind of a fucking monopoly because there is only a handful of carriers for everything.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite in truckload. And that's why there's so many fluctuations in it, but that's why there's so much more opportunity, because there's enough people in truckload where they eliminate the rates that are just fucking stupid on the low end or the high end. And then you can carve out your niche in there. And then you can really see a lot of opportunity within that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too to kind of pull on that point of like the dynamics between the two, and that one is just the market controls it, right? Truckload is just controlled by the market. How many available carriers versus how many available loads. And what do people expect to happen next? And then there's speculation on pricing, and people either get, like you said, the all-stars in Q1 are going to bid super aggressive and they're going to lose money because they can. And I mean, CH cleared the deck so that they could lose money in Q1. I mean, that's what they did.
Dude,
I mean,
that's my
no other
assumption.
way to say it. They got ahead of themselves with hiring. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you didn't fire the same people you just hired. You fired the top people.
But, you know, again, man, like it's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, that those decisions at large publicly traded companies are made to appease the shareholders.
Yeah,
like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything bad about the internal culture or anything like that. I don't know. I've never worked there before. But again, if you're looking at it from a pure standpoint of business and how the real world operates, is if you are publicly traded, decisions are made to appease the shareholders. All right. Because they kind of fucking control everything.
I don't know if you saw it. I was just looking up like the top 5 brokerages or top 10 for the truckload side, and CH and like the top, like they took such a haircut on their top line revenue. I thought I saw like 24 billion last year and like 15 billion this year. I'm like, how do you take a $9 billion haircut? They're going to,
I can tell you how. That's the difference between spot market and contracted freight.
Yeah. All so like the 15 billion is probably right where they should have been or around there. And the 24 was like, we went to the spot. And that's not just CH. Like a lot of companies did that same thing. Same thing.
So you got to look at it like this, man. CH Robinson isn't the most successful brokerage because they don't know what they're doing. Like, they're very intelligent. Why they did that? They probably my assumption is they went and rebid in probably September of this year.
That they couldn't get that tough call that was like, hey, we got somebody else coming under you. They went and rebid it first, as you're saying.
They were the first to the party. And I talked about this a few months ago. I said, you know, if you're going to stay in your good graces, you have to be the first to the party. Because that's how you protect your market share. And you probably could carve out a couple hundred extra dollars per lane if you're the first one to go in. Like if you're getting, you know, these are all hypotheticals right now, you guys.
Yeah.
If you're getting paid $2,400 on a lane and you see the market shift and you drop down to $2,200 3 to 4 weeks before your competition even broaches the idea to your shipper, and even if they come in at $2,000, the likelihood that your shipper continues to pay you more is significantly higher because they know you got ahead of it. Again, like, we're not like all of this information.
There's a transaction right there.
Yeah.
And then if you have a good shipper, you just go tell them, you just say, hey, I can still be profitable at this. And there's going to be a race to the bottom in 3 months. If I do this for you now, can we keep this lane?
Yeah.
And I think that any good shipper partner is going to say yes. And now we'll see if they, you know, if it's a real partnership when the market really bottoms out, if it does. Yeah. But on the same side for LTL, I met with a C-suite last week for a pretty large company local to our area. And he was talking about, their current vendor and potentially going with us. And he said, one of the things was they've been with them for a long time. He said, you know, they haven't brought us anything new. They haven't brought us any new integrations. They just have been doing what they've always been doing. And I think it was kind of a wake-up call to myself and probably to the market, in the same vein that you need to be the first one to the party to reduce pricing. If you have any new integrations or anything new coming, you got to figure out a way to give that to your current clients before they get approached by somebody else who has it already.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing, partnership versus transaction.
Dude, and I agree with that. And I see it out there. There are so many people who just rely on the transaction. They're so concerned about that. Because, like, again, when I was saying about going to your customer with a rate reduction, everybody's mind instantly went to, and then we're going to lower the rate on the carrier. The transactional mindset does that. But me and what we're doing at Freight Coach Logistics, I'm paying above market because I know as a broker, whomever controls the trucking, the capacity and has those relationships controls the freight. It's not the
carrier is just as important as the customer, if not more. You don't have a company unless you have the carriers.
You have zero business as a freight brokerage. You do not have a company if you don't have carriers to help assist you. And you know, and I was talking to another guy too, who's like, man, he's like, I'm paying my core group of carriers $700 to $800 more per load right now. That's real numbers, $700 to $800 more per load than I could on the open market, because they service. And because I know that when the market flips, they had my back. And again, like, that's the hard part. And I'm not here to tell anybody how to run your business, but that's how I roll at my company. All right. I roll at that because it's always about service and value. I don't just fucking talk about it. I execute upon it as well. I will gladly take the short-term compression for the long-term reward, because this isn't a 12-second thing for me. This isn't a 12 shipment thing for me. This is the next 12, 24, 36 months. This isn't a game to me. I talk about this all the time. This is how I fucking support my family. This is how I put food on my family's plates. All right. Yeah. This isn't a fucking show. Well, it technically is, but what I just isn't. Yeah.
I love it, Jolly. I think that mentality is probably scarce in the brokerage world. And if you can do anything with this show is just to keep talking about that. That's what you should keep doing.
Yeah, it is a literal playbook, you guys. Like every episode that we talk about on here and the podcast and everything is based towards, like, I'm not holding anything back on the strategies that I implement, you guys. It's all in there. But if you reach out to me and ask you, how do I do it? I'm not going to lay it out that, like, literally just go listen to my stuff. It's kind of all out there, you guys. Like, that's what this whole platform's for. That's why I have other business owners like Gabe on the show to talk about what they're doing. Gabe has a very successful brokerage. He is out there applying a lot of these principles, you guys. And this is he's the guy you need to listen to about this. All right. Especially if you're in the LTL world and you're wanting to build your book of business, you got to follow a guy like Gabe. You got to follow Rocket Shipping because they're fucking living this. All right. Gabe's been in this industry now for how long?
8 years now.
8 years. All right. So he's seen the market that we're about to be in and that we're already in. He's been there before, you guys.
At the very beginning. Yeah, that's where I started.
Yeah, exactly. So listen to what he's saying there. We only got to one article, but that's fine, man. I think that this is just
a good article. There's a couple more in there. I did want to say one more thing about LTL. If you're out there and you're interested in LTL, it's GRI season. I don't know what the carriers are going to do. FedEx does GRIs before everybody else, and they did 6.9, which was one of their largest GRIs ever again. I really don't anticipate big GRIs, but that'll be like the one thing that I'm watching over the next month or 3 weeks as they start to come out and be announced. Do carriers think they can get away with another general rate increase right now in LTL when everything else is pointing to decreases? And so that's what I'll be watching.
Yeah. And rest assured, you guys, like, no matter what, like I saw this this morning, and I'm going to read it out here because I think this is fucking imperative to where we are right now, because I see this all over social media, right? I see it all the time. Everybody's already at 2023. All right. And I've put out multiple posts on this already. Do not discredit how much progress you can literally make over the next 18 days, or how I'm terrible at math, or however many days are left in this year. All right. Because you don't magically start on January 1st. All right. The habits are not, you don't magically do it. If you're that fucking serious about building your book of business or building your business or getting in shape or kicking bad habits, fucking start today. Do not wait. All right. And here's the thing. It's, and I fully agree with this. It is the easiest time in humanity, in human history, to become rich. Wake up and self-educate. Everyone is settling and everyone is getting lazy. If you really want wealth, this is your shot. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. There will never be I'm convinced of this, Gabe, the next 12 to 18 months, there will never be a greater opportunity in our lifetime to establish yourself.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is where you have every tool available to you, and everything's going to be on sale if you really want to get going in the next 12 months. So if you're smart and you can do a land grab, not like a big broker land grab, I'm talking for the small business owner land grab, and get the best employees that might've been laid off, and use the best tools and the AI and the social media to your advantage. There's no reason you can't do it.
Dude, amen to that. There is so much opportunity that's out there, you guys. And that one article we broke down was on LTL, you guys, just for my friends over at the JOC. And, that's what happens when because Gabe and I could probably go for about another hour to 2 hours and not have a little to talk about. We could keep it going out there. But dude, how are you guys hiring right now? What are you doing? Put your stuff out there so people can reach out to you, man.
Yeah, we're hiring on the truckload side, account managers and carrier sales. And so we're looking for good people to do that. It's actually, we're having trouble finding the right people. So if you guys know somebody who's looking for carrier sales, that's our next hire. We've got freight committed to, and we're going to need to make sure we can bolster that. We do have carrier sales, but we know we're going to need more. And account managers, if you're not happy with your role, give us a call, connect with Sam or Tim, and we'll get you interviewed.
Perfect. You guys know how to reach out to Rocket Shipping. They're all over LinkedIn, you guys. And The link to the article that we broke down, I'll put it over there on the YouTube channel, The Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this, which will be available on iTunes and Spotify here shortly. And if you guys do jump over there, share the show, you guys. That's all I can ask at the end of the day, is because if you guys see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.